Got a few minutes for questions. So if anybody has any questions related to this or the crime lab or the DEA.
This is my favorite part. Come on. I know you're curious. You've got something you want to ask.
So like when the fentanyl gets laced, like is that something that people making it like do purposely, or is it just kind of a byproduct of like for?
So the fentanyl, some people actually want straight fentanyl. They ask for fentanyl. The street name is Fire. They want the fire. It's going to be the hottest one. But they will specifically ask for fentanyl. Typically, these are the users that have been using for quite some time. Their tolerance is built up, and heroin just simply isn't cutting it anymore. So they want the most potent product on the market. What we see a lot is users that have been doing it for quite some time. They end up going to jail, say for a different reason, for maybe 2 months. And they come back out, and after 2 months of not doing it, they take the same dose they normally would, and they die because their body's not used to that high dose anymore. So the fentanyl, some people want the fentanyl, some people accidentally are getting poisoned by it because they thought they had something else.
So 2 things. I mean, is the fentanyl deliberately being put in the drugs that they're making? Yes, because they're trying to create addicts. These cartels are in it not for your health, but for money. And if they create addicts, then they're going to have repeat customers. Back in 2016, I asked a question when carfentanil was being seen, you know, the veterinary drug. The carfentanil is 100 times more powerful than fentanyl, but when we were seeing it on the, I thought, why are they handing it out free? And there were some dealers that were handing it out free, and people were dying, overdosing. It's like, that's a terrible business model. You're killing off your customers. Except the ones that survive become their best marketers. They go out there and tell everybody what an incredible high it was. They can't get it from anywhere else. You got to get your stuff from my guy because he's got the best stuff. And that's what was happening. And so yeah, the people that survive the overdoses go out and market for their dealers. And as far as the jail and reentry, when they go to jail and they're in there 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months, whatever, they get a chance to detox, they get a chance to get off the drugs, and so the tolerance that they had originally built before going to jail is gone. And when they come back out and they go back to their same dealer and they go back to the same amount that they took the time before they went to jail, it will kill them. And does.
My question is, and I'm not asking this as anything politically charged, I just want to know in your expert opinions about these drugs that are coming from the southern border and from Mexico. And we hear a lot from both sides about, oh, you know, the border needs to be more secure, or the border is already secure, we've made a lot of improvements. But I guess I'm wondering, in your guys' expert opinions, is our border less secure? I mean, should we be concerned? Like, what, from what you've seen, is this looking like?
So listen, I will take no political stance whatsoever on wall, no wall, what the border's like. What I will tell you is the cartels are very resourceful. So what we've found is that we have actual couriers that will hide it in their body, just like you saw, and walk it across the border. They'll put it in backpacks and hope they get across, whether it's illegally or through a checkpoint. We've got tractor trailers that come through ports of entry every single day. We've got tunnels that go under the walls. When the walls are built, we have drones flying over, dropping it. So whether we have a wall, no wall, the most secure southern border in the world, the cartels are always trying to find ways to beat us. Oh my gosh, I forgot about the semi-submersibles, yeah. So they're literally making homemade submarines down in like Colombia, and they're coming up the coast. There's no border to go through. They're simply coming up on the water. So those are the things that are coming with not just like a couple of kilos, and everybody knows, does everybody know what a kilo is? 2.2 pounds for the math wizards. But the submarines are bringing tonnage, not pounds, not kilos, tonnage. So it is such a multi-pronged attack on the U.S. to get these drugs across the border that every resource that we can push at it, we will. They are very good at getting it here.
You ever played whack-a-mole?
For the older people in here, the Looney Tune where the dam's breaking, you put one finger in and keep going.
Here's a good question.
I believe the health board has them.
Yeah.
If not, the Hamilton County Heroin Coalition has them. That's how we at DEA get it. We go to the local heroin coalition task force. They have an amazing QRT. It's a quick response team that goes out to help. And that's the other thing you guys have to understand is my job is to go out and stop this. But we can't arrest our way out of any of these problems. Treatment, detox, getting people back into recovery, that's the magic. Like, we have to do more of that.
So there's a three-prong approach. There's prevention, there's enforcement, hence the DEA, and there's treatment. And as a community, every community has to attack this from all three sides. You can't just do one. We're here for the prevention. Joe works every day in the enforcement. We work every day in enforcement as well. And there are a lot of people working on the treatment side. You can Google up where you can get it. There are lots of different places in Hamilton County where you can get Narcan and keep it. It's nasally applied, so it's easy to use for somebody. We keep some in our lab, but a lot of businesses are having it in their little first aid kits they can break. So unfortunately, because there's, I'm sorry?
We have it here on campus.
Okay.
Great.
So it's a smart thing to have around. There are some people that like to say, "Oh, we don't have fentanyl. We don't have opiates in our school. We don't have." Yeah, I got news for you. It is everywhere in Hamilton County, and sticking your head in the sand will just lead to deaths. Some of them may have a little bit of a color to them, but if you're in a dark area, you're not going to be able to recognize that. If you start feeling strange, funny, weird, whatever, your heart starts racing or it's slowing down, you're starting to see spots coming from your peripheral vision, you're unsteady, I mean, be with somebody that you trust. Always be with somebody that will look out for you and you look out for them, so that you can make sure that if any of you or your friends is affected this way, that you get them out of there and get them to somewhere safe. That's all I can tell you. Unfortunately, there's no 100% way to detect this, even if you had a strip and you tried it, and you're not going to, right, in a club or a bar setting.
By trade, I'm an attorney, and I was a prosecutor. And I realized that the officers at the table next to me were having a lot more fun than I was. And so I decided I wanted to go federal, whether it was as a U.S. attorney or as an agent. And so I started putting resumes out, and I said, whoever comes first, I'm going. And my wife said, you bet, just not drugs, those guys are crazy. And I said, funny thing, sweetheart. The DEA just called and offered me a job. And so I took it. And it's not really just the fun aspect. I like to tell that story because my wife was actually 8 months pregnant when I went to Quantico. She's an amazing woman. She is incredible. The satisfaction we get of taking this off the streets, I've got kids, that's my motivation every single day. If I can make it safer for my kids than what it was with me, it's amazing. And having been on the heroin task force, I used to high five when we'd get, bags and bags of kilos and 20 kilos and $100,000 and a couple guns, like high fiving all the great stuff, right? Well, then I went to the heroin task force and I'm getting grams and somebody dead. And I had to deal with a grieving family. That was a gut punch. That changed my perspective. That was very humbling. That became the new motivation. Because now when I see a kilo of fentanyl, I don't just high five because we got a kilo of fentanyl and somebody's looking at 10 to life. I'm looking at how many families I don't have to talk to. So it's huge. That's why I do it. Fentanyl, made into pills, or powders, and it's made to look fun, like candy, like something you'd enjoy. It's Sweet Tarts, Smarties, Fun Dip, all the candies of the day. And unfortunately, it's going to be straight fentanyl. And we have not yet seen it here. It will come here. We've definitely gotten blue pills, and we've gotten purple. That's all I've seen so far.
Yeah.
It's coming, no doubt. But it's just another way that they're marketing the fentanyl towards a younger audience. And that's, again, where you have got to be frightened of what people are offering you. And if you don't know where it came from, it's absolutely terrifying.
Here's the bottom line. You guys are familiar with supply and demand, right? You take away the demand, the supply will dwindle. I mean, these guys aren't going to keep banging their heads against a wall if you as a generation decide, we're not going to do this, we're not going to go down this road, we're not going to be your guinea pigs, we're not going to take your drugs, we're not going to spend the money, we're not going to lose our lives. Then you send a message to the drug dealers and the distributors and the people in the cartels. It's like, why would they keep trying to flood our area, flood the United States with drugs if you've got a whole generation of people that say, no, we're not going to be your victims? And that's the important thing. That's where you come in. You make that decision. You decide where you want to go. You decide where you want this country to go. You decide what part you want to play in that, and then move forward. Help your friends, help your colleagues, help your fellow college, students that you're going to all be a part of. But that's that part of the, going back to what I said, is that this school, I think, gave me a tremendous education, great preparation for going on to college, medical school, and everything else. What I didn't get, and I don't think where a lot of schools across the country, not just in Ohio, where they fail the students is by not giving them that drug education, that this is what you can expect to see out there, and it's really important that you have the facts so that you can make good decisions. And that's why we're here, is to kind of fill that gap in that education and prepare you a little bit better for when you go out there. So the first time you go to a freshman party, you see something and you'll think back to this talk, it's like, wait a minute, I better not, don't take that open drink. Or, I see some powder, pill, whatever, somebody over there doing something. Think about this. Think about what we said and making smart decisions.